What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be watching some Cam Heyward film. In particularly, I wanted to take a look at Cam Heyward's strong finish to the 2022 season. Over the second half of the year, man, he was really on a tear in terms of rushing the passer. So, wanted to break down some of my favorite reps from last year, and then kind of explain, what makes him such a dominant player up front for the Steelers. Just before we get started, y'all know what to do, man. Please make sure that y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. All that stuff is greatly appreciated on my end. All right, let's get started, man. So Cam Heyward had an absolutely phenomenal season last year, especially the second half of the year, where he really turned up. We'll kind of take a look at some of the first half and second half numbers at the end of the video, but just wanted to go over some of my favorite clips and show you guys some of his kind of pass rushing arsenal here. So on this play in particular, he's lined up as the 2-eye in this 4-down look for the Steelers. Inside shoulder of the guard, but they're going to have him slant inside over the center. He's immediately going to go to that bull rush and then hit the swim move over the top. And one thing I like about this rush in particular, getting Heyward matched up with a center who's typically, the worst pass protector on an offensive line unit league wide. You see him, playing with good pad level, get his hands tight and inside, getting underneath the center, kind of knock him off balance, and then sequencing pass rushing moves together to end up getting the sack. So really good play here. I think the Panthers game in general was one of the strongest performances from Heyward last season. Here's another really good rep right here. This time he's lined up more as a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of the guard. This is one of my favorite pass rush moves in general for defensive linemen, but I really like it for pure power rushers like Heyward. You see him, this is what I call like kind of a stutter bull. He kind of comes off and pats his feet a little bit, and this just, creates a little bit of hesitation for the guard. You see him immediately just get low and get those hands inside. One thing about Heyward's game, man, is he has some of the most powerful hand usage in the entire sport, not just as a pass rusher, but as a run defender, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But just driving that guard back into the quarterback's lap. Unfortunately, can't come away with the sack, but still a successful play for the defense. And one of the things about Heyward, too, especially at his age, he still has some juice, man. Like, he really still moves really well. You can tell he takes really good care of his body. Again, here the Panthers are going to go in an empty set personnel. Heyward lined up as the 3 tech working against his left guard. This move is what I would kind of classify as a jab and go. We'll kind of break this one down, but the footwork on here kind of sets this thing up. So you see him take that hard step to the inside, and what it does to the guard is it gets him kind of off balance and lean in one direction, and Heyward's easily able to kind of go the other direction. He's going to have that left arm to kind of keep that blocker at bay. And I think he actually gets away with a little bit of a face mask here. Yeah, should have been a penalty there. But really good job, showing that burst, even for a guy who's, 33 years old, getting up the field and then some pursuit speed to chase Sam Darnold out of the pocket. Darnold's a pretty athletic dude, can run a little bit. So, like I said, man, Cam's still in really good physical shape. And it's really impressive, and I think makes you optimistic about next season. Here again, rushing as the 3 tech. Again, you just see that pure bull rush, man. This is really what Heyward works all of his moves off of, just that ability to create force, generate, some type of violence or explosiveness off the ball. I just love the pad level that he plays with. He's constantly basically trying to run his face mask through the offensive lineman's kind of chest. He just drives those legs, ends up pushing the guard back into the quarterback. And I talk a lot about pressures on this channel in general. Sometimes that those don't show up in the traditional box score, but they're really important to the game and how you affect quarterbacks, especially at the NFL level where they're so freaking talented. But awesome play right there. He had a couple really good games against the Bengals last year as well. One of the ways that the Steelers will use Cam Heyward up front is he's an excellent player on stunts and loops. This example in particular is where he's going to be what I would call the crasher. So basically, they are trying to run a TE stunt. So he's going to go first, and try to occupy this guard and tackle and allow Alex Highsmith to kind of be the looper and loop inside towards the A gap. One thing I like about Heyward, running full speed, just trying to create a collision here, kind of you can see what it does and sets Highsmith up to loop around to the A gap. And then Hayward's able to still, use that inside arm. Good hand placement right here. You see it's on the inside of that left tackle's pec, able to quickly get upfield and bring down Mariota. So this play in particular, he's more so oftentimes really just trying to create kind of a diversion and allow the edge rusher to get the pressure. But Hayward's so good, he takes up two blockers, gets his edge rusher free, and still gets a sack in his own right. So awesome play right there. This is a kind of a good on good matchup that I wanted to highlight. Cam Heyward, Quentin Nelson. Definitely one of the premier matchups you'll see kind of any given Sunday. Nelson, one of the best guards in football. Cam Heyward, one of the best D tackles in football. Nelson's going to try to do what I would call like a jump set to kind of get his hands on him. And I'll kind of explain that a little bit from his perspective. Really, he's just going to try to fire off the ball here and get his hands on Heyward quick, establish that first meaningful contact. And the reason why you'll sometimes see offensive linemen do this to power rushers is really just to, create that first contact, get a good first strike with their hands, and not allow Heyward to kind of come off the ball and pat his feet and then just immediately bull rush right through his chest. So Nelson comes off, this is a pretty good start to the rep, but you immediately see Heyward recognize that he's getting jump set, and then kind of with the swim move, just over the top here. Again, I think that's just good recognition. He forces Matt Ryan out of the pocket. Ryan's not, the most agile guy in the world, especially nowadays, but really nice rep there. Here's kind of another example of him working kind of in a game up front. They're going to line him up over the center this time and use kind of Miles Jack to kind of come down as the crasher with him as the looper. I like how he sets this rush up, kind of comes off a little bit slow, but really he's just trying to kind of, sell this game, if you will. Kind of loop back inside. Again, I think that just his mobility, especially at his age, is something that's really impressive, especially when I went back and watched this film like in the last week. I was surprised by just how well, he was moving really throughout the season. Even later in the year, after a grueling season of, taking all that contact and punishment, he's still moving extremely well. This left guard here gets he gets off the ball a little bit slow. But again, you just see Cam's just explosiveness, bull rush. He basically sacks Derek Carr with his own offensive guard. He terrorized the Raiders, man. I thought that was probably his best game of the season. Here we'll kind of look at him again as the three technique. The Raiders run a lot of stuff that's like under center. They love their under center ground game. Just a really nice job by Heyward kind of shooting this gap. They're trying to run a little bit of a counter play. And one thing that gives all these misdirection plays and stuff like that problems is interior penetration, really off the ball. You're going to see Heyward, good first step. And you see the bend. He's going to kind of rip underneath that outside arm or the inside arm of that tackle. And then just beats the puller there to the spot. Makes a nice tackle on Jacobs in the backfield. So really nice play in that regard. Another really good game, especially against the ground. Both Heyward and Watt had really strong performances against the Saints in the ground game in particular. But here you'll see the Saints are going to be running a little bit of some zone to the weak side. Really popular play among the NFL. You're starting to see it a little bit less, I think. But just a good job by Heyward. You see him controlling his gap. He's got his outside arm free. This basically signals to Kamara, who's basically reading gap to gap, that he needs to cut this back up. So Heyward is going to push his guard kind of back into the next gap and make this play really easy on Montravius Adams, with his help flowing from the inside. So awesome rep there. Just kind of single-handedly ends that play. This was really good. Really good play from the beginning of the season against the Miami Dolphins. Cam, even though he kind of started off a little bit slow, in my opinion, as a pass rusher last season, he really Really was solid against the run throughout. Here, you see a little split zone, little slice action. Hayward's just going to basically take this number 74's momentum and use it against him. Put that right arm kind of on the back, and just kind of sling him to the ground. Again, making a nice tackle on Chase Edmonds in the backfield. Another really good example here of him working against one of the better tackles in the league. I feel like with Ronnie Stanley, kind of they're using a little bit of a 4-4 front. They use this against some of the heavier personnel teams like the Baltimore Ravens and Carolina Panthers last season. But again, Cam just working that bull rush and just plowing Stanley right back into the backfield. It's an awesome play and making the tackle. I believe that was in the third or the fourth quarter on third down. This was to get the Steelers the ball back, and they'd eventually, win the game on a Kenny Pickett touchdown. But, just an absolutely awesome play there. And I wanted to highlight some numbers just from Cam from the first half of the season to the second half. You look at his sack percentage, nearly doubled from the first half to the second half. His pressure percentage, more than doubled from the first half to the second half. And then, the run stop percentage was pretty much the same. But I really think that if you're looking for some optimism involving the Steelers defense, having a longtime captain, one of your defensive stalwarts that's still playing at an extremely high level, even at, going into age 34. Cam still got 2 years left on his contract. I think when you think about the Steelers front with him, TJ Watt, now Alex Highsmith's locked up on a long-term deal, the Steelers should be, absolutely dominant in the trenches. And I think that that's usually been a good recipe for the Steelers, and something that usually equates to them having a pretty good defense overall. But I'm really excited to see what Heyward looks like. Father Tom it comes for everybody. But I think that, if you look at the second half of the season in particular, I think Cam's continuing to outrun that race, right now. So I'm excited to see how much longer he can do this, playing at an incredibly high level. I think he's definitely a Steelers, Ring of Honor type of guy. I think he's probably got maybe one or two more elite seasons, and then, probably gives himself an even better shot at the Hall of Fame. But really all he's missing, man, is some postseason success. The Steelers make a postseason run, maybe to the Super Bowl, to kind of close out his career. And I think that will, really help his chances of getting a gold jacket. So really excited about seeing Heyward this year. And just the Steelers defense in general, man. We're only a couple of days away from training camp. I can't wait to have more content and stuff for you guys moving forward. Just again, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Please make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, all of that stuff on your way out. And I will check you guys next time. Peace.